May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our redemption. Amen. Please be seated. A fun piece of trivia for you. The feeding of the 5,000 is the only miracle that is in all four of our Gospels. It lends itself to the assumption that this one for sure happened because everyone seemed to see it and everyone felt the need to write it down. It also signifies that this particular miracle widely resonated. And why wouldn't it? We all eat. It is a universal experience. Food is primary, the highest of basic needs. Even in the Lord's Prayer, we are instructed to pray for our daily bread. The concept of praying for what we need to keep us sustained this day. It is why the Eucharist resonates so profoundly. The idea that Jesus sat down with his friends to share bread and wine, the basic food staples of his day. It is one of the most livable, believable, picturable moments in all of the Gospels. A substantial number of our holidays relate to food. Thanksgiving, an entire holiday, only about a meal. Christmas dinner, our 4th of July cookouts, and what would be a birthday without the cake? New neighbors move and we bring treats to welcome. A new baby is born, or a family faces a substantial illness, or a substantial recovery period, or the death of a loved one, and it elicits meals from friends and family. When we're looking to build bridges or make amends, we talk and invite people to break bread together. Parenting coaches advise family meals to be free of criticism, arguments, and hard conversations. Instead, we're coached to just hear one another, enjoy one another, make the family table a place of safety and fellowship. Meals are the quintessential moment of putting down our barricades and inviting us to be human together. Even in the Disney movies, the meal imagery registers largely. In Encanto, Bruno, who has left the family but secretly stayed within the family walls just hiding, actually joins his family on the other side of the wall at the dinner table for each meal. In Lion King, Simba is brought into the fold of new friends with grub procurement as he learns how to eat in this new environment of non-lions. In Coco, the family welcomes back their loved ones on the Day of the Dead with their favorite foods. So even while a dimension apart, the family once again eats all together. Therefore, this image, not only of God feeding the people with not only enough, but with such abundance that everyone eats with baskets of leftovers, but also that God literally and figuratively sits at our table or our picnic with us, is iconic and comforting and hits the heart of the personal God who loves and who cares. A God who feeds us, a God who gives us what we need. Now, this version of the four is easily my favorite version of the miracle because it involves a little more how than the others and keeps its sense of mystery. Obviously, a miracle always has a little bit of mystery. It happens outside the realm of what we assume to be typical or possible. We can't explain it. We can't completely understand it. But in this version of events, the source material is revealed. There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they among so many people? And what is that among so many people? Well, with God, it is enough. This is a direct contradiction to Benjamin Franklin's not biblical statement, God helps those who help themselves. Sure, the kid brought himself lunch. Maybe himself and his household. Because of his prior planning, because of his A-type organizational skills, he would be taken care of in a crowd of the hungry masses. So there's this debate about what it is that we are meant to teach in the concept of faith, especially when we try to transform faith into a more universal category. It actually comes up a lot at the school attached to the church because faith is one of their success traits that gets a month of emphasis as a goal for the students to not only internalize, but then make manifest in their own lives. At the school, December is all about faith. And teachers take this concept in different directions. The commencement speaker at this year's graduation focused very much on the concept and trait of faith. Except his entire experience and understanding of faith was that faith is about having faith in yourself. Now, I don't want to knock confidence. It's important to know your own power and to affect change. It is the power against anxiety and fear. It is our empowerment to go out and do more than offer thoughts and prayers into a world where God is still asserting justice in structures of oppression. But there is also a reason why our baptismal covenant doesn't call us to answer the questions with, "Yes, I can." But instead, "I will with God's help." It is knowing that I am one, but in collaboration we can do so much more. Like dominoes that can either scatter across the floor and create messes and tripping hazards, or when lined up and set in motion correctly, it can move large swaths of magnificent love. See, the boy had his daily bread, but his willingness to hold it out, to offer it forward, made it possible for the crowd to have access to their daily bread. So how did this miracle happen? Magic Jesus hands? Maybe. I never discount magic Jesus hands. Or maybe this boy's simple act of sharing what he had and having God say, "It is enough, share it amongst yourselves," inspired others who perhaps had been not so forthright with their own daily bread in their pockets to share and to see not God helping them through their own careful faith and ability to plan ahead, but God helping those who were willing to help and be helped by others. I'll be honest, I have never been to a potluck that didn't have enough food. Every VBS, we have done a crowdsourcing method to get the components. And somehow every night magically fills up a table of food week by week, and never ever during the week of VBS have I had to make a Costco run to catch up the sign-up genius. Not only that, but everyone all week gets fed, and we leave a ton of leftovers in the church fridges by the end of the week. The simple act of taking our faith in ourselves and offering it into a faith in something greater, someone bigger, takes us from I can survive and I can do it to we all get to thrive together. If Jesus didn't magic hand the bread and fish to make it multiple, does that then take away the miracle? I don't think so. The miracle of inspiring people to take down their defenses, to take down their what about me and mine, their willful independence of I can do it myself, feels like the greater miracle. Magic hands feeds 5,000 people for one meal. I will, with God's help, has the potential to feed people over lifetimes and centuries. It's why we do church. It's why we do this together, and you're not on a nature trail somewhere finding Jesus with a tree. We come to church together because it's not about our cowboy spirituality and our rugged individualism. Because faith is both myself and in knowing myself isn't enough. Discipleship is both about me, what I need, what I bring to the table, and about the collective good. I am called to bring myself to the larger table for a reason. Sometimes as church, we do things that are my favorite. This opening hymn, one of my favorites. VBS gives me opportunities to do crafts or activities that I enjoy and gives me life. Sometimes I'm sitting in a sermon or a Bible study and I hear a question that is exactly what I needed to hear that day. And sometimes we sing songs that I don't understand are in the hymnal at all. But turns out it's someone else's favorite. And sometimes I participate in a kiddie game that absolutely under no circumstances would be my first choice. But then I see the joy of the people around me. And sometimes I listen to sermons that I perhaps think are pure garbage, or the message falls flat, or I sit in a Bible study and I think, well, that was a waste of time. And somebody else leaves and says, oh my God, that was exactly what I needed to hear today. VBS, Vacation Bible School, is quintessentially a representation of what the whole church is meant to do. It's a little bit of fellowship, a little bit of study, more than a little bit of being silly and getting out of our own way, and a whole lot of being formed as people and as church. Simultaneously, we are fed and we learn to feed. We find our faith, the confidence to know that we are able, but the wisdom to hand it all to God and let God make it multiply. See, the feeding of the 5,000 is in all four Gospels because it is quintessentially the miracle that explains church. It is coming together. It is bringing what we have. It is getting what we need. It is finding the patience and grace to give others what they need, and the willingness to bring our broken openly to meet and match someone else's broken, and knowing that in God, not only do all the pieces fit together, but they multiply, so that we are able to be fed and to feed, to thrive, and somehow to have things left to go out and feed the masses. The miracle of feeding the 5,000 is the statement, we will, but with God's help. Amen.